Welcome back, brave souls, to the channel where the shadows speak and the past refuses to rest. Tonight, we take you deep into the arid heart of the American Southwest, where blistering deserts, crumbling ghost towns, and ancient ruins hide more than just history. Welcome to Arizona, land of stark beauty, unforgiving heat, and chilling from haunted hotels to spectral highways, from ancient Native American spirits to lingering miners of the Old West. This is a journey you won't forget. So light a candle, dim the lights, and prepare yourself for the 20 most haunted places in Arizona. Perched high above the historic mining town of Jerome, Arizona, the Jerome Grand Hotel looms like a solemn sentinel watching over a land soaked in death and secrets. Once known as the United Verde Hospital, the building was constructed in 1926 and quickly became the final destination for thousands of miners and townspeople alike. With its looming concrete walls and austere Spanish mission-style facade, the hotel does little to hide its grim past. In fact, the structure seems to breathe with it. The building's history is not simply haunted by tales that is carved into every floorboard, every shadow, and every unexplained sound that echoes through its long, silent hallways. Back when it served as a hospital, the building treated those injured in the deadly copper mines that once gave Jerome its wealth and purpose. But those same mines also claimed countless lives. Explosions, cave-ins, toxic gas exposure, and violent accidents were daily realities. Many of the victims were rushed into the hospital on stretchers, some groaning in agony, others already dead. The staff worked relentlessly, but often in vain. Death was simply part of the job. During the 1930s and 40s, outbreaks of tuberculosis and pneumonia swept through the region. At its peak, the hospital saw up to 9 deaths per day. Bodies were taken to the basement before being removed from the building, their spirits perhaps too stubborn or too traumatized to follow. Some believe the pain and fear from those days never truly left the premises. After the hospital officially closed in 1950, the building sat empty for nearly 4 decades. It decayed, fell into disrepair, and became a place of local legend where teenagers dared each other to sneak in at night, and people swore they saw faces in the windows, despite no one being inside. Then, in 1996, the building was purchased, renovated, and reopened as the Jerome Grand Hotel. But no amount of fresh paint or new bedding could silence the whispers that had always lived within its walls. From the moment the hotel reopened, guests began reporting eerie phenomena. Footsteps echoing through empty corridors, faint voices calling out names no one in the group recognized, heavy doors slamming on their own, even when the air was still. The most unnerving of all, the sound of gurney wheels rolling across the tile, particularly in the dead of night, when no one was in the hallways. Former nurses have visited the hotel and claimed that the distinct squeaking of those wheels was exactly what they remember from their shifts decades earlier. Room 32 quickly earned a reputation as the hotel's most haunted space. Visitors staying there often describe a sudden, heavy atmosphere, as though someone invisible were watching them closely. Lights flicker without explanation. The television turns on by itself. Some guests report waking up to the sensation of hands gently pressing down on their chest, making it hard to breathe. Others hear soft crying coming from the closet or the bathroom, even when they're alone. A few have left the room in the middle of the night, pale and shaking, refusing to return. But perhaps the most chilling story tied to the Jerome Grand Hotel is that of Claude Harvey, a maintenance man whose death still raises eyebrows. In 1935, Harvey was found crushed beneath the elevator, supposedly accidental death. But many believe otherwise. The elevator had a manual safety mechanism that would have made such a death nearly impossible without tampering. No formal investigation was ever pursued, and the case was quickly closed. But those who work at the hotel today say Claude never really left. Employees often hear someone tinkering with tools in the basement, even when no maintenance work is scheduled. One worker recounted entering the basement and finding a wrench spinning on the floor, as if someone had just dropped it seconds before. Others have seen a shadowy figure standing near the old elevator shaft, only for it to vanish when approached. Guests sometimes complain of hearing banging and dragging sounds from the floor below. Sounds that line up exactly with the area where Harvey died. Paranormal investigators have conducted several sessions inside the Jerome Grand Hotel. They've captured EVP recordings of what sounds like voices whispering in Spanish and English. One particularly chilling session picked up a voice clearly saying, "Help me," followed by the sound of labored breathing. Infrared cameras have caught fleeting human shapes moving down hallways where no one was present. Cold spots unexplained, drops in temperature, frequently appear in room 32, the stairwell, and, most notably, the elevator. Even those who work at the front desk report strange experiences. Phones ringing from unoccupied rooms, the lobby music distorting into a warbled mess of static and whispers. One receptionist recalled staying late one night to finish paperwork, when she felt a cold hand rest briefly on her shoulder, only to find no one behind her when she turned around. Despite all of this, or perhaps because of it, the Jerome Grand Hotel remains a popular destination for paranormal enthusiasts. Some come with cameras and recorders, others with hope of a brush with the beyond. The staff have embraced the building's haunted reputation, but they also respect it. Many warn visitors to be careful what they ask for, because in the Jerome Grand Hotel, something might just answer back. There is a heaviness that hangs over the place, an atmosphere that presses in with the weight of nearly a century of pain, death, and mystery. It isn't just the stories that make the Jerome Grand Hotel unsettling. It's the feeling that when you walk through its halls, you're never truly alone. That in the corners of your vision, in the distant footsteps at midnight, in the whisper that seems to come from right behind you, someone is still there, remembering, watching, waiting. The Birdcage Theater in Tombstone, Arizona, stands frozen in time, testament to the lawless days of the Wild West. Built in 1881, it once roared with life, a saloon, brothel, and gambling hall that never closed, operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Drunken laughter, the clink of poker chips, and gunshots once echoed off its walls. Now, only the whispers of the past remain, and they are far from silent. The building bears the scars of its chaotic history. More than 140 bullet holes riddle its walls, remnants of drunken brawls, shootouts, and desperate acts of rage. The bar still stands, the tables still arranged as they were over a century ago. But it's not just history that lingers. Ghost stories pour out of every dusty corner, drawing paranormal enthusiasts from around the world. Visitors often describe a heavy atmosphere the moment they step inside. The temperature seems to drop slightly, and a sense of being watched settles over them. The scent of cigar smoke drifts through the air, even though smoking is strictly forbidden. Phantom piano notes are said to float through the silence, gentle, haunting melodies from an instrument that hasn't been played in decades. Some believe the music is the work of a long-dead entertainer, unwilling to let the stage go quiet. One of the most frequently reported apparitions is a woman dressed entirely in white, described as elegant and ethereal. She appears on the balcony, where prostitutes once paraded themselves for potential customers. She never speaks, she never moves, she only watches. Her expression unreadable. Guests claim her eyes follow them as they walk through the theater. When they glance back, she's gone, as if swallowed by the shadows. Other spirits are more rowdy. Laughter and murmurs of unseen gamblers echo from the basement, where the longest poker game in history allegedly took place, a game that ran for 8 years straight. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures crouched around the table, cards in hand, smoke curling around their ghostly forms. Tour guides have reported chips being moved when no one is near, and cold spots appearing suddenly in the rooms once used for gambling and drinking. Cameras malfunction, batteries drain without explanation, and sudden bursts of static disturb audio recordings. One former employee spoke of locking up late one night. As he turned to leave, he heard the unmistakable sound of the piano striking a single, ominous note. When he turned around, the room was empty, but the piano key remained depressed. Others have seen doors swing open violently on their own, and curtains shift as if someone had brushed past them. Perhaps the most chilling encounters come from those who dare to be alone in the theater. More than one paranormal investigator has fled the building in the middle of the night, unnerved by the presence of something they couldn't explain. Growls, knocks, and flickering lights often accompany solo vigils. In some cases, investigators have captured photos of translucent figures and strange mists moving across the stage. Despite the fear it inspires, the Birdcage Theater remains one of Tombstone's most popular attractions. Its reputation as one of the most haunted places in Arizona is well earned, not just because of its history, but because its spirits are active, persistent, and deeply woven into the fabric of the building. It's not just a museum. It's a portal to another time, and some say, another realm. Those who walk its halls do so at their own risk. They may come seeking history or thrills, but many leave with an experience they'll never forget, haunted, not just by the theater's ghosts, but by the feeling that they were never truly alone. In the sun-scorched desert just outside Wickenburg, Arizona, stands the crumbling remains of a place once teeming with life, greed, and desperation. Vulture mine. At its height, this remote gold mine produced millions of dollars in ore and drew hopeful prospectors from all across the country. But for all the gold that flowed from its depths, the mine also drank deeply of blood. Now, long abandoned, it rests in eerie silence, its dusty buildings and skeletal machinery echoing with the whispers of the dead. Founded in 1863 by prospector Henry Wickenburg, the mine sparked a frenzy almost overnight. Men flooded the desert, driven by the promise of wealth. They built a bustling camp, then a town, and eventually a community around the mine. But gold doesn't come without cost. In those early days, lawlessness ruled the desert. There were no proper courts, no jails, no mercy. If you were caught stealing, the sentence was death. No judge, no jury. And so, near the edge of the mine's entrance, they found a twisted old mesquite tree. It became known as the hanging tree. A thick rope was always kept nearby, ready to deliver swift justice. Dozens of men, some guilty, others merely suspected, met their end beneath its crooked branches. Their bodies swayed in the desert wind as a warning to others, their final gasps lost to the dust. The tree still stands, its bark weathered and scarred, and according to those who visit the abandoned site today, it hasn't forgotten what happened beneath its limbs. Many tourists have reported hearing the unmistakable sound of rope stretching, followed by a sharp snap, as if the noose had just gone taut. Some hear the creaking groan of wood under weight, even when the air is still. The ground beneath the tree is often unnaturally cold, even beneath the blistering Arizona sun. Wander further into the ghost town and you'll find rows of dilapidated buildings, their wooden frames splintered and blackened by time. The mine itself is sealed, but its entrance still yawns like a gaping wound in the earth. Visitors have reported hearing distant cries echoing up from the shafts, as though someone were still trapped below. The mine claimed many lives, miners crushed in cave-in, overcome by poisonous gas, or simply lost in the dark with no way out. Not all of them were recovered. Some say their souls still linger, searching for a way to the surface. Shadows often flicker across the shattered windows of the old assayer's office, even when no one is near. People swear they've seen figures dart past openings, only to find the room completely empty. Sometimes, those shadows don't vanish, they stop, stand still, and stare back. One man recounted watching a silhouette in the shape of a miner, pickaxe slung over his shoulder, who turned slowly to face him. The figure had no features, just black emptiness, where a face should be before it faded into the wall. Cold spots are common here. They appear suddenly, without wind or shade, and vanish just as quickly. Tourists describe walking through an invisible wall of icy air, only to break out into goosebumps under the hot desert sky. Some feel a hand brush their shoulder or a tug on their clothing, followed by whispered voices speaking in tones too low to understand. There are stories of a woman in a torn dress who wanders the ruins near dusk. She is barefoot, her face pale, her eyes glassy with sorrow. Legend says she was the wife of a miner who died in a collapse. She refused to leave, waiting each day by the mine's entrance, hoping he would return. One night, she simply disappeared. Now, People see her walking the same path she once paced in life, fading into the shadows just as the sun sets. The old mess hall and boarding houses are hotspots for activity as well. Investigators have recorded disembodied voices, the sound of boots walking across wooden floors, and the clinking of tin cups and cutlery, as if meals are still being served. Some have even caught glimpses of ghostly faces peering out from behind curtains that haven't moved in decades. Then there's the blacksmith shop, where the scent of burning coal sometimes drifts through the air, though the forge hasn't been lit in over a century. One visitor claimed he heard the rhythmic hammering of metal on anvil echoing through the air, but when he stepped inside, the room was empty save for a layer of dust, so thick that even his footprints were swallowed quickly. Paranormal teams who've investigated Vulture mine have captured disturbing evidence. One team reported a tall figure following them from a distance throughout the night, only to vanish when approached. Locals avoid the mine after dark. Some say it's cursed, that the land itself is tainted by all the suffering that took place there. Others believe the spirits are not malicious, only restless, still bound to the mine they gave everything for. But all agree, something lingers there. The silence isn't empty, it listens. The wind doesn't just blow, it carries memories. The Vulture mine is more than just a relic of the Wild West. It is a graveyard with no headstones, a silent testament to greed, justice, and those who sought fortune and found death instead. The desert may try to reclaim it, but the spirits refuse to be buried. They wait beneath the hanging tree, in the mine shafts, and behind every broken window, watching, listening, remembering. The Hotel Congress in Tucson, Arizona, stands as a timeless relic of the 1920s, its vintage charm preserved through decades of history, infamy, and whispered stories from the other side. It's best known for being the hideout of gangster John Dillinger, who stayed there just days before his dramatic arrest in 1934. But beyond its connection to America's criminal underworld, the hotel has developed a reputation for something far more unsettling. Behind its stylish Art Deco facade and lively bar scene lies a deeper, more spectral truth. The Hotel Congress is haunted, and its ghosts are anything but shy. Constructed in 1919, the hotel quickly became a hotspot for travelers, socialites, and outlaws moving through the Southwest. It was built along the Southern Pacific Railroad line, making it a convenient stop for anyone heading toward California or Texas. But with the influx of colorful characters came drama, death, and unsolved mysteries. Over the years, countless guests have checked in, but not all of them have truly checked out. The second floor of the hotel, in particular, hums with an unexplained energy. Guests often report hearing ghostly knocks on their doors in the middle of the night. When they check the hallway, there's no one there. Others have heard whispered conversations through the walls, only to discover the adjacent room is vacant. Cold drafts sweep through hallways even when all the windows are shut tight. And footsteps echo in empty corridors long after midnight. Room 242 is infamous among paranormal investigators and thrill-seekers alike. It's a modest room, neither luxurious nor grim, but those who stay there often leave with chilling stories. One guest described waking in the middle of the night to find a tall, shadowy figure standing at the foot of the bed. The room was freezing, and the figure slowly turned to look into the mirror before vanishing completely. Others have experienced vivid, unsettling dreams filled with people they've never met, speaking in strange languages or sobbing uncontrollably. Lights flicker, sometimes violently, and the television turns on and off without warning. A woman who stayed in room 242 reported seeing her reflection move independently in the mirror. She had been brushing her hair, only to see the reflection continue brushing after she'd stopped. Terrified, she fled the room and refused to return, leaving her belongings behind. Hotel staff, many of whom have worked at the Congress for years, have their own stories. One housekeeper swears she saw a woman in a 1930s-style dress walking through the second-floor hallway. The woman appeared solid but faded slowly as she approached a locked door and disappeared into it. Another employee reported hearing music playing from an old phonograph, soft jazz drifting through the air. But there was no music system on, and no guests were nearby. The hotel lobby itself has not escaped the supernatural. Guests sitting near the vintage phone booth often hear strange clicking sounds, like someone dialing a rotary phone, even though the lines have been disconnected for decades. A few have even picked up the receiver, only to hear static faint voices murmuring on the other end. Room 214 has also gained notoriety after a guest staying there alone claimed to see the shadow of someone pacing just outside their door. When they opened it, the hallway was empty. Moments later, the door slams shut behind them on its own. The guest later learned that a man had died in that room many years earlier, under mysterious circumstances. The bar and lounge area, popular with locals and travelers alike, has its own stories. Bartenders speak of bottles shifting on their own, glasses falling from shelves with no one nearby, and the faint scent of cigar smoke suddenly filling the air despite the fact that smoking has long been banned inside the building. Patrons sitting alone have felt taps on their shoulders, only to turn around and find no one there. One chilling legend involves a woman known as the Lady in Black, who has been spotted throughout the hotel over the decades. She is often seen descending the grand staircase or standing silently in corners during the late hours of the night. Always dressed in mourning clothes, with a dark veil covering her face, she never speaks. Some believe she is the spirit of a widow who lost her husband during the Dillinger Firean event that ultimately led to the gangster's capture when firefighters were called to the hotel. She is believed to be searching for someone, though no one knows exactly who. Despite the eerie encounters, the Hotel Congress continues to welcome guests from all over the world. Many come for its vibrant atmosphere, its music, its architecture, but some come with the hope of experiencing something unexplainable. For them, the Congress offers more than just vintage charm. It offers a glimpse into the unknown. There's something undeniably magnetic about the place. It may be the weight of history, the echoes of untold stories, or the lingering presence of those who refuse to leave. The past clings to the Congress like perfume in an old coat, subtle, nostalgic, and just a little bit strange. Whether it's the restless spirit of a gangster's companion, a heartbroken woman in black, or nameless entities from the building's earliest days, the energy inside the Hotel Congress defies logic. It watches, waits, and sometimes reveals itself just long enough to remind you that in this historic hotel, you're never truly alone. Baking under the relentless Arizona sun, the remains of the Yuma Territorial Prison sit like a scar carved into the desert. Perched above the Colorado River, the prison once housed some of the most dangerous outlaws of the Old West. It was a place of isolation, cruelty, and suffering, dubbed the hellhole of the West. Its thick iron bars and sun-baked stone walls didn't just hold criminals, they absorbed their rage, their pain, and their fear. And many believe that energy has never left. Built in 1876, the prison was a marvel of its time, boasting electric lighting, a library, and running water. But none of that softened its reputation. The isolation was crushing, the heat unbearable, and the punishments brutal. Over the years, more than 3,000 inmates were crammed into its cells, many convicted of murder, robbery, or escape attempts from other jails. Some stayed only weeks. Others never left alive. One of the most feared areas of the prison was the solitary confinement cell, known simply as the dark cell. Located in the deepest, most airless corner of the facility, it was a small, pitch-black room carved from stone. Inmates were thrown inside with minimal food and water, often shackled or chained, and left for days or even weeks. The only light came from a tiny slit in the iron door. Prisoners emerged from the dark cell broken, many screaming, some hallucinating, a few never the same again. Today, the cell remains open to visitors, and those who dare to step inside often report the same things: sudden nausea, dizziness, overwhelming feelings of dread. Some describe the sensation of invisible hands reaching out in the dark, brushing against their clothes or gripping their wrists. Paranormal investigators have recorded dramatic temperature drops and strange electromagnetic readings in the cell despite the desert heat outside. One visitor claimed to hear a whisper directly in her ear, though she was entirely alone. Outside the dark cell, the rest of the prison tells its own haunted story. In the crumbling cell blocks, footsteps echo without cause. Visitors walking past empty cells have felt cold drafts rush past their legs, like someone rushing by unseen. Some have turned suddenly, convinced they were being followed, only to find empty corridors behind them. The sound of heavy boots striking stone floors is a common complaintist, especially when the area is completely vacant. Chains dragging across the ground have also been reported, the sound scraping along the stone in the silence of early morning or dusk. Security cameras occasionally pick up anomalies, flickering shadows, blurs moving between barred doors. Even the sudden appearance of a figure that vanishes the moment it's captured. Several of the spirits said to haunt Yuma Prison have names and tragic backstories. One is that of John Ryan, an inmate convicted of crimes against nature, who was so hated by other prisoners that he was isolated even beyond the usual harshness. He died in confinement, and some say his presence lingers, bitter and restless. His cell is especially active. There's also the tale of a female spirit unusual in a men's prison but linked to the prison cemetery, where over 100 inmates were buried in unmarked graves. Some believe she was the grieving wife of an inmate who died behind bars. She's been seen drifting between the headstones at night, her long dress billowing in windless air. Others have heard soft sobbing or humming coming from the direction of the cemetery, even when no one else is around. Yuma's dry heat doesn't keep the chill away when it comes to the paranormal. In the guard towers and along the walls, where officers once watched for escape attempts, some claim to have seen silhouettes pacing long after the living guards have gone. In one case, a reenactor, playing a prison guard, reported being tapped on the shoulder during a tour. When he turned around, no one was there. But a moment later, the tapping came again, this time harder, and accompanied by a low growl that sent him running. Tour guides and staff who work at the Yuma Territorial Prison Historic Park have grown used to strange occurrences. Locked doors found open, lights flickering without electrical issues. Tools moved when no one was nearby. One staff member reported a window slamming shut behind him during a clear, windless afternoon. The window had not budged in years. Even the museum portion of the site isn't immune. Old prisoner photographs sometimes fall from the walls for no reason. Some guests have sworn the expression in his eyes changes subtly just enough to notice, just enough to make your blood run cold. Despite all the supernatural stories, people still come. Some are drawn by the history, others by the haunting. They walk the dusty grounds, peer into rusted cells, and step into the infamous dark cell, hoping to feel something, and most of them do. It might be a sudden chill, a distant whisper, or the sense that something is standing just behind them, watching silently. The Yuma Territorial Prison is no ordinary ruin. It is a vessel of suffering, memory, and unresolved energy. It holds the pain of men pushed beyond the limits of sanity, of cruelty disguised as justice, and of lives ended in despair. The walls remember. The cells still hold their secrets. And in the shadows of the dark cell, something waits. In the heart of downtown Phoenix stands the grand and elegant Orpheum Theater, gilded survivor of the Roaring Twenties, where dreams danced across velvet curtains and the sound of applause once thundered beneath a golden ceiling. Built in 1929, the Orpheum is a jewel of Spanish Baroque Revival architecture, an ornate palace of performance that has stood for nearly a century. But behind its dazzling facade lies something far more chilling. Though the stage may fall silent between acts, the theater never truly sleeps. Whispers travel through the rafters, shadows flit behind closed doors, and a child named Maddie is said to still roam the halls long after her life ended. The haunting begins quietly. Many believe the energy of the Orpheum has soaked into its structure, a blend of nostalgia, loss, and spectral mischief. It's the kind of place where time seems to fold in on itself. Visitors often describe a strange shift in the air the moment they cross the threshold from the modern streets of Phoenix into a different era. It's not uncommon for patrons to feel watched, especially near the top balconies, where the silence seems too loud and the shadows too deep. Maddie, the most well-known ghost of the Orpheum, has been seen countless times by both staff and visitors. Described as a young girl wearing a white dress, her presence is never threatening, though it is undeniably eerie. She is said to enjoy playing tricks, especially with electronics. Lights flicker for no reason. Audio equipment malfunctions during rehearsals. And some have reported hearing giggles echoing from the back rows, only to find the auditorium completely empty. Maddie has also been spotted peeking from behind the heavy stage curtains, or wandering alone through the lower lobby, her pale face vanishing the moment she's noticed. One employee, a seasoned stagehand, recalls a night he stayed late to finish a lighting rig. He was alone, or so he thought, until he heard soft footsteps above him in the empty balcony. When he looked up, he saw a small figure standing at the edge of the railing. She stood perfectly still, watching. When he called out, the figure turned and walked into the wall, not behind it, into it. The man swore never to stay late again. Others report disembodied voices carrying across the ornate halls, after hours snippets of conversation, murmurs of laughter, or a single word spoken directly into someone's ear, when no one else is nearby. During performances, ushers have noted seats being inexplicably warm, as if someone had just been sitting there. In one case, a couple swore they saw a child dart across the aisle during a quiet scene only to realize there were no children in their section at all. Perhaps most disturbing are the recurring dreams shared by several employees. In these dreams, they find themselves lost in a crumbling version of the Orpheum, its chandeliers swinging violently, the stage curtains aflame, and Maddie standing center stage, silently crying. These visions are always accompanied by an overwhelming sense of grief and confusion. None of the dreamers know who Maddie truly was, or how she died, and official records offer no mention of a child's death in the theater's history. Still, the Orpheum's long and layered past leaves plenty of room for mystery. Over the decades, the building transitioned from vaudeville venue to movie palace to abandoned relic and finally, a restored cultural landmark. Each phase added its own residue to the walls. Performers poured their hearts into acts, filmgoers gasped at Golden Age cinema, and homeless wanderers may have sheltered in its decaying corners before the 1990s renovation. In such a place, where emotions have run high and lives have intersected for nearly 100 years, the spiritual echoes are impossible to ignore. Tour guides often incorporate Maddie into their narratives, though many do so with a sense of reverence. Unlike more aggressive hauntings, Maddie's story seems tinged with loneliness rather than menace. She is drawn to energy, laughter, music, movement. When the building is alive, so is she. But when the lights go out and the final guests leave, Maddie remains, watching, waiting, wandering the gilded passageways of her eternal playground. Even skeptics have found themselves unnerved inside the Orpheum. One technician, proud of his disbelief in the paranormal, mocked the idea of Maddie aloud during a lunch break. That evening, his locker was found open, its contents scattered on the floor. A single white footprint, small and bare, was printed in dust near the doorway. He never spoke of it again. Today, the Orpheum continues to host Broadway tours, ballet performances, and live music events. It shines once more as a cultural hub, but beneath the glamour lies the undeniable truths. Something else walks those halls, something childlike, curious, and utterly untethered from time. And for those who dare to linger after the curtain falls, Maddie might just show you that the performance is far from over. Nestled in the rugged hills of Bisbee, Arizona, the Copper Queen Hotel has been a beacon of elegance and mystery since it first opened its doors in 1902. Built to accommodate wealthy investors and copper magnates drawn to the thriving mining industry, the hotel now draws a different kind of guest, those seeking not only luxury and charm, but also a glimpse into the otherworldly. For over a century, the Copper Queen has remained in continuous operation, making it Arizona's longest-running hotel. And within its historic walls, 3 spirits are said to linger, leaving behind a trail of ghostly whispers, chilling breezes, and unexplainable encounters. Perhaps the most famous of these spectral residents is Julia Lowell, a woman whose tragic love story echoes through the second floor. Julia was a beautiful and vibrant prostitute who worked in secret at the hotel, offering her services to traveling businessmen. She fell deeply in love with one of her regular clients, a man of wealth and power. But when she confessed her feelings and dreamed of a life beyond the hotel walls, he coldly rejected her. Heartbroken and humiliated, Julia took her own life in one of the rooms on the second floor. Guests who stay in that part of the hotel often report an unseen presence. Men, in particular, describe hearing soft whispers in their ears, words they can't quite understand, spoken in a husky, feminine voice. Some have awoken to the sensation of fingertips brushing against their cheeks or the smell of floral perfume lingering in the air, even though no one else is present. Julia's energy is described not as malevolent, but longing, forever searching for the love she lost. But Julia is not alone in the Copper Queen. The mischievous spirit of a young boy is also said to roam the halls and rooms of the historic hotel. According to local legend, the child drowned in the nearby San Pedro River sometime in the early 1900s. No one knows his name or why he chose the hotel as his eternal playground, but his presence is unmistakable. Guests have reported sudden giggles echoing down the hallway when no children are staying in the hotel. Toys left unattended are mysteriously moved, and candy left on nightstands sometimes vanishes without a trace. More than one guest has caught sight of the boy darting around corners or sitting at the edge of a bed, only to disappear when they blink. Though his tricks can be startling, they're usually playful in nature, more like a bored child trying to get attention than a malevolent spirit. Still, the encounters leave a lasting impression on those who witness them. The third well-known ghost at the Copper Queen is a far more reserved presence. Has been spotted in various parts of the hotel, but most frequently in the lobby. He often appears seated in one of the antique armchairs, calmly reading a newspaper, or simply observing the hustle and bustle of the front desk. Staff have grown used to him and say that if you glance at him too long, he slowly fades away before your eyes. Some believe he was once a mine owner or investor, a man of means who enjoyed the comforts of the Copper Queen during its heyday. Others think he may have died in the hotel of natural causes and simply never left. His energy is quiet, dignified, and a little melancholy, as if he's stuck in a loop of routine from a lifelong past. Throughout the Copper Queen, visitors report strange occurrences beyond the known ghosts. Lights flicker without cause, cold spots appear in warm rooms. Elevators seem to move on their own, and doors creak open without a breeze. Some guests have even claimed to hear old-time music, piano keys softly playing a forgotten melody, or the echo of footsteps on the ballroom floor long after midnight. The hotel embraces its haunted history. Room 315, where Julia is said to have died, is among the most requested by paranormal enthusiasts. Ghost hunters frequently visit, and many leave with chilling audio recordings or unexplained images on their cameras. Yet despite the supernatural activity, there is no sense of threat within the Copper Queen. The spirits seem to coexist with the living, bound to the place by love, sorrow, or habit. For those who check in, the Copper Queen offers more than just antique charm and copperia ambience. It offers a rare glimpse into a layered past where the veil between the living and the dead feels unusually thin. Whether you come for the ghosts or the history, one thing is certain: once you've spent a night at the Copper Queen Hotel, something about it stays with you, and sometimes something from the other side might stay with you too. Nestled deep in the rugged wilderness near Kingman, Arizona, Slaughterhouse Canyon, also known by locals as Luana's Canyon, stands as a silent testament to a dark and tragic past. This remote, desolate place, surrounded by jagged cliffs and whispering winds, is steeped in sorrow and legend. It is a place where the natural beauty of the desert contrasts sharply with the chilling stories that have been passed down through generations. Stories that speak of despair, madness, and restless spirits. The most infamous tale connected to Slaughterhouse Canyon is that of a woman named Luana. According to local folklore, Luana was once a young mother struggling to survive in the harsh, unforgiving wilderness. The story goes that during a particularly brutal drought and famine, Luana and her family found themselves trapped in a canyon with little to no food or water. As days turned into weeks, desperation and starvation took hold. Driven to the edge of madness, Luana is said to have committed the unthinkable, murdering her own children to spare them from the agony of slow death by starvation. The details vary in different versions of the story, but all agree that after taking the lives of her children, Luana herself succumbed to grief and despair, ending her own life in the canyon. Whether by hanging, poisoning, or some other tragic means, her death marked the final, sorrowful chapter of the family's ordeal. Since then, visitors to Slaughterhouse Canyon have reported experiencing eerie phenomena that suggest Luana's torment has not ended with death. The most common reports involve ghostly cries and screams that seem to echo through the canyon walls, especially at dusk and during moonless nights. The anguished sounds are said to carry across the barren landscape, chilling the bones of those who hear them and reminding all who venture there of the tragic events that once unfolded. Several hikers and explorers have also reported seeing a spectral figure roaming the canyon paths, a pale woman wearing a blood-soaked dress. Witnesses describe her as moving slowly, sometimes standing motionless, gazing out across the canyon with eyes filled with sorrow. Some say she appears to be searching for something or someone, while others believe she is trapped, reliving her torment endlessly. Sightings often occur near the old, natural water sources and caves, locations that align with where Luana and her children might have sought refuge. One particularly chilling account comes from a group of campers who stayed overnight near the mouth of the canyon. They reported hearing soft, mournful sobbing that seemed to come from all directions, growing louder and more desperate as the night wore on. At one point, a young woman in the group swore she saw a white figure standing on a rock ledge above them, silhouetted against the dark sky. When she called out, the figure vanished, leaving behind an overwhelming sense of sadness. Others who have passed through the canyon claim to feel sudden drops in temperature, or an oppressive heaviness that seems to weigh on their spirits. These sensations often coincide with hearing the distant cries, or the feeling that unseen eyes are watching their every move. Some say their cameras malfunction or record strange orbs of light in the photos, while others experience an unexplained sense of urgency, as if they are being warned to leave before something worse happens. Despite the grim stories, Slaughterhouse Canyon continues to attract adventurous souls and paranormal enthusiasts eager to uncover its secrets. The canyon's stark beauty, with its towering cliffs and rugged terrain, offers an unforgettable experience for hikers and history buffs alike. Yet, few can ignore the lingering feeling that the land itself remembers the sorrow etched into its stones and soil. Local legends also speak of other spirits tied to the canyon, including those of children, perhaps the lost children of Luana who play and laugh in the distance, their innocent voices echoing hauntingly among the rocks. Some interpret this as a sign that despite the tragedy, not all souls are bound by despair. Some may still find fleeting moments of peace or joy in their afterlife. The name Slaughterhouse Canyon itself evokes a grim history, though its origins remain unclear. Some believe it refers to Luana's horrific act, while others speculate that it might have been a site of earlier violence during territorial conflicts or mining disputes. Whatever the truth, the canyon's reputation as a place of death and restless spirits has endured. Visitors are often cautioned to treat Slaughterhouse Canyon with respect. The terrain is difficult and unforgiving, and the stories of supernatural occurrences only add to the cautionary tales that surround the area. Yet, those who dare to explore it often return with vivid memories of a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels thin, and where the echoes of tragedy reverberate in the cold desert air. Slaughterhouse Canyon stands as a somber reminder of the fragility of life amid the harsh realities of survival. It is a place where human suffering has left an indelible mark, and where the past refuses to remain buried. Whether driven by curiosity, reverence, or the hope of encountering the unknown, those who venture into Luana's Canyon find themselves walking through a landscape haunted, not just by ghosts, but by sorrow itself. In the end, the canyon's greatest mystery may not be whether spirits truly wander its paths, but what those spirits are trying to tell us, the stories of despair, loss, and the enduring human spirit in the face of unimaginable hardship. The cries that echo off the canyon walls serve as a chilling yet poignant reminder. Some places carry the weight of their histories in every stone, every shadow, and every whisper of the wind. Standing proudly in downtown Flagstaff, Arizona, the Monte Vista Hotel has long been a landmark of elegance and history. Built in 1927, it quickly became a favored retreat for movie stars, cowboys, and even infamous outlaws passing through the region. With its grand architecture and classic charm, the Monte Vista has hosted countless guests over nearly a century. Yet, among the whispers of glamour and prestige, there exists a darker, more mysterious side. The hotel is widely regarded as one of the most haunted in the Southwest, with stories of restless spirits lingering in its corridors, especially in the infamous Room 305. Room 305 has gained a reputation among visitors and staff alike for its intense paranormal activity. It is said to be haunted by the spirit of a woman who died decades ago, though no official record identifies her identity or cause of death. Guests who have stayed in the room often report seeing a shadowy figure rocking slowly in a wooden chair placed near the window. This apparition is described as wearing period clothing, with a sorrowful presence that seems less menacing and more mournful. Several guests have told stories of waking in the middle of the night to find the rocking chair moving gently, despite no wind or physical disturbance. Some have seen the figure turn its head slowly toward them, only to fade away like mist when noticed. The atmosphere in Room 305 is often described as heavy and oppressive, with sudden drops in temperature and the feeling of being watched. Beyond the visual encounters, sounds in the room add to the eerie experience. One of the most chilling reports is the sound of a crying baby echoing faintly through the walls. Many who have heard it confirm that no infants were staying nearby, making the source of the wails impossible to explain. Some believe the cries could be tied to a tragedy in the hotel's past, while others suspect it might be a residual haunting, an imprint of past suffering lingering in the air. Another frequent phenomenon reported throughout the Monte Vista is the mysterious bellboy. Several guests have described hearing the knock of a bellboy at their door late at night, followed by a polite announcement of room service, only to open the door and find no one there. The knock is often gentle, almost hesitant, and vanishes as soon as the door is cracked open. Hotel staff occasionally hear these knocks as well, but find the hallways empty when they investigate. The bellboy's presence seems to be more playful than threatening. Some guests have even reported catching glimpses of a uniformed figure out of the corner of their eyes, just a flash of white gloves or a brass-buttoned jacket only, for it to disappear when fully looked at. These experiences have become a staple of the Monte Vista's paranormal lore, drawing curious visitors hoping to witness the elusive specter. The Monte Vista Hotel's haunted reputation is not limited to Room 305 or the mysterious bellboy. Various other unexplained occurrences have been reported across the building. Staff working late shifts have heard footsteps pacing empty corridors, the distant sound of piano music coming from a silent lounge, and the faint aroma of cigarette smoke lingering in rooms where no one has smoked for years. Some guests have shared stories of feeling cold hands brushing their skin or sudden chills without explanation. Others have experienced electronics malfunctioning, lights flickering or shutting off at random, and strange shadows moving just beyond the edge of vision. These phenomena contribute to the sense that the hotel is a living archive of its past, full of memories and spirits that refuse to rest. Historically, the Monte Vista has hosted many famous visitors. In the golden age of Hollywood, movie stars would often stay at the hotel while filming in the nearby forests and deserts. The hotel was also rumored to have sheltered outlaws and gamblers seeking refuge from the law. These stories, whether true or embellished, only add to the hotel's mystique and perhaps explain some of the restless energies trapped within its walls. One of the most poignant ghost stories relates to a woman said to have lived in the hotel long ago, possibly a performer or a lonely traveler who met an untimely end. Her presence in room 305 suggests a longing or unresolved grief. She rocks in her chair, perhaps waiting for someone who never returned or mourning a life cut short. This image of the woman has captivated ghost hunters and visitors, becoming one of the Monte Vista's most iconic spectral legends. The hotel management embraces the haunted tales with a mix of pride and caution. They offer ghost tours and paranormal investigations, allowing guests to explore the mysteries for themselves. While some find the experiences unsettling, many appreciate the unique character and history that the hauntings bring to the Monte Vista. Despite the eerie occurrences, the Monte Vista remains a beloved destination. Its blend of historic charm and supernatural allure attracts visitors from all over the world. Many come for the architecture and location, others for the chance to glimpse the unknown. Whether skeptical or believers, few leave without a story to tell. Walking the halls of the Monte Vista Hotel is like stepping back in time, where the glamour of the past mingles with the whispers of the departed. The spirits of its former guests and employees seem to linger, weaving their stories into the very fabric of the building. Room 305, with its rocking chair and shadowy occupant, stands as a haunting reminder that some memories never fade. For those who visit, the Monte Vista offers more than a place to rest. It offers a connection to history, mystery, and the unseen. And in the quiet moments after midnight, when the world outside is still and the hotel settles into silence, the rocking chair may begin to move again, and the faint cries of a baby may echo through the halls, reminding all that the Monte Vista's past is very much alive. The Gadsden Hotel, located in the historic town of Douglas, Arizona, is a grand testament to early 20th century opulence and elegance. Built in 1907, this majestic hotel quickly became a symbol of luxury, boasting a stunning Tiffany stained glass skylight, intricate woodwork, and an impressive grand staircase that immediately captures the attention of visitors. Yet beneath its polished floors and gleaming chandeliers lies a darker, more unsettling side, a realm where the past refuses to rest and shadows whisper stories of heartbreak and tragedy. One of the most persistent legends surrounding the Gadsden Hotel involves the grand staircase, an architectural centerpiece and the setting for many of the hotel's paranormal tales. It is here that guests and staff alike have reported sightings of a mysterious woman in a red dress. This spectral figure is believed to be the ghost of a jilted bride, a young woman who, devastated by betrayal, took her own life in the hotel more than a century ago. According to local lore, the bride was set to marry a wealthy man who suddenly abandoned her, leaving her heartbroken and humiliated on the day of their wedding. Unable to bear the shame and sorrow, she disappeared from the festivities and was later found lifeless in her bridal gown. Though the details are shrouded in mystery, her restless spirit is said to linger, forever trapped in a moment of anguish and despair. Witnesses describe her as a striking figure, dressed in a flowing red gown that contrasts vividly against the hotel's neutral tones. She often appears gliding silently along the grand staircase, her face obscured by shadows or hidden behind a veil. Some have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness or anger when she is near, as if the raw emotions that consumed her in life still resonate in the very air around her. One longtime employee recalls an evening when she was closing up the hotel alone. As she passed the staircase, she suddenly felt a chill wash over her and turned to see a figure descending the steps in a brilliant red dress. Frozen in place, she watched as the apparition reached the bottom and vanished into the hallway, leaving behind the faint scent of roses and something metallic, perhaps the ghost's lingering pain. Mirrors throughout the Gadsden Hotel also play a significant role in its haunting. Many guests have reported seeing reflections of people who are not actually present. Some claim to glimpse the bride in the mirror's surface, her image flickering in and out of view as if trapped between worlds. Others have noticed shadowy figures standing silently behind them, only to turn around and find empty rooms. The mirrors seem to act as portals or windows into the past, capturing echoes of the hotel's turbulent history. The sense of being touched by unseen hands is another common experience, reported by visitors. Guests often speak of gentle brushes on their arms or shoulders, sudden sensations of cold fingers trailing down their backs, or even the feeling of being embraced for a fleeting moment. These touches are unpredictable, sometimes comforting, sometimes startling, and add to the hotel's eerie atmosphere. Beyond the grand staircase and mirrors, many rooms in the Gadsden Hotel are said to be thick with intense emotions. Visitors have described feeling overwhelming waves of sorrow, rage, or anxiety in otherwise empty spaces. Some attribute these feelings to the accumulation of grief and despair left by past occupants, creating pockets of psychic energy that remain long after their owners have passed. One guest recounted an experience in a second-floor room where, despite a bright summer day outside, the air inside grew oppressively cold and heavy. She felt tears welling up for no apparent reason and sensed a furious presence nearby, as if an unseen force was wrestling with its own anguish. Moments later, the temperature returned to normal, and the oppressive sensation lifted, but the memory of that moment stayed with her forever. The Gadsden's history is rich with tales of wealth, ambition, and heartbreak. Douglas, as a mining and railroad town, attracted many fortune seekers and travelers, each leaving their mark on the hotel's walls. Some believe that the tragic bride is not the only spirit dwelling within its confines. Shadowy figures have been glimpsed roaming the halls, and mysterious noises, soft footsteps, whispered conversations, and distant cries have been reported well into the night. Paranormal investigators who have explored the Gadsden Hotel report similar phenomena: cold spots that appear and disappear suddenly, unexplained knocking sounds, and electronic devices malfunctioning without cause. Thermal cameras have captured shadowy shapes moving across corridors, while audio recorders pick up faint voices and unexplained sounds. Despite attempts to rationalize these occurrences, the hotel remains a hotspot for supernatural activity. Yet, despite, or perhaps because of its haunted reputation, the Gadsden Hotel continues to welcome guests from around the world. Some come seeking luxury and history. Others come drawn by the thrill of encountering the paranormal. The hotel embraces its mystique, offering ghost tours and sharing stories of its spectral inhabitants, preserving its legacy both as a place of grandeur and mystery. In the end, the spirit in the red dress is more than just a ghost story. She embodies the human emotions of love, betrayal, and heartbreak, reminders that behind every grand building and polished facade, there are lives and stories that linger. The Gadsden Hotel is not just a monument to early Arizona history. It is a place where the past breathes, where sorrow walks the halls, and where the unseen still makes itself known. For those who visit, the hotel offers more than comfort and elegance. It offers a connection to a time when dreams and despair intertwined in the shadow of the grand staircase. And if you are lucky, or perhaps unlucky, you might catch a glimpse of the woman in red, forever trapped in the moment where hope turned to heartbreak, and where the line between life and death blurs beneath the gleam of crystal chandeliers. Rising eerily from the arid landscape of Casa Grande, Arizona, the domes stand as a haunting testament to ambition gone awry and mysteries that refuse to fade. These alien-like concrete spheres were originally conceived in the early 1970s as part of an advanced electronics manufacturing facility. The vision was futuristic, a high-tech campus where cutting-edge devices would be developed inside these geodesic domes, symbolizing innovation and progress. Yet, despite the bold vision, the project was abruptly abandoned, leaving behind a series of decaying concrete shells that have since become a magnet for intrigue, fear, and paranormal lore. From the moment they were left to the elements, the domes took on a sinister aura. Their smooth, weathered surfaces cracked and crumbled, blending into the dusty surroundings like otherworldly monoliths. Over the decades, the site fell into disrepair, becoming a magnet not only for urban explorers, but also for those drawn to the darker side of the supernatural. The domes are now widely regarded as one of Arizona's most unsettling haunted locations, a place where the boundaries between reality and the unknown grow thin. Visitors and paranormal investigators alike have reported an array of disturbing phenomena around the domes. One of the most persistent features is the presence of strange symbols scrawled across the walls, ancient-looking glyphs, occult signs, and cryptic markings that suggest the site was co-opted for dark rituals after its abandonment. These symbols, painted or etched with eerie precision, seem to pulse with malevolent energy, intensifying the feeling of dread that hangs heavy in the desert air. The atmosphere inside and around the domes is unnerving. Witnesses often describe sudden and extreme shifts in temperature. One moment the air is stiflingly hot, the next biting cold. These fluctuations are not explained by the desert environment, and many believe they are manifestations of paranormal activity. It is said that standing near certain symbols or entering specific areas triggers these temperature drops, as if invisible forces are reacting to the presence of intruders. Perhaps most disturbing are the auditory phenomena reported by those brave enough to venture inside the crumbling structures. Growling noises echo through the hollow interiors, low guttural sounds that defy easy explanation. Some claim to hear whispers in unknown languages, murmurs that seem to beckon or warn. The sounds can be sudden and sharp, startling even the most seasoned investigators, leaving an overwhelming impression of something alive and watching in the shadows. Shadowy figures are frequently reported around the domes, often seen lingering just out of clear sight. Visitors have spotted dark, humanoid shapes darting between the arches of concrete or standing motionless at the edges of their vision. These entities vanish when approached or illuminated, leading many to suspect they are spirits or interdimensional beings tied to the site. Some theories suggest that the domes are not only haunted by human spirits, but may also serve as gateways or attractors for otherworldly entities, drawn by the site's unusual architecture and energy. Local legends have grown up around the domes, blending fact and folklore. One common tale tells of secretive cults that use the abandoned facility for occult ceremonies, attempting to harness or summon forces beyond human understanding. Witnesses claim to have seen strange gatherings at night, figures cloaked in black, fires burning in ritualistic patterns, and eerie chanting reverberating through the desert. While no official record confirms these stories, they have become part of the dome's chilling reputation. Urban explorers who document their visits often capture unexplained anomalies on camera, orbs of light floating in the air, blurred shapes in photographs, and sudden electrical malfunctions in their equipment. Many report a deep sense of unease that grows with each step inside the domes, a feeling that they are trespassing on something far older and darker than the site's industrial origins. The dome's eerie presence is compounded by their stark contrast to the surrounding landscape. In the middle of the expansive desert, the smooth concrete spheres appear almost unnatural, like artifacts from another planet. Their decay mirrors the erosion of the hopes once invested in them, while their haunting energy suggests that abandonment was only the beginning of their story. Over the years, attempts have been made to preserve or repurpose the domes, but none have succeeded. The structures continue to crumble, and access is restricted due to safety concerns. Yet, the allure of the domes persists, drawing curious visitors, thrill-seekers, and paranormal investigators eager to uncover their secrets. Some who have experienced the domes firsthand say that the place is alive in a way few others are, that the very walls seem to breathe with an unseen life force. The intense emotions of fear, curiosity, and awe mingle in the air, creating a charged environment where the veil between this world and others feels dangerously thin. Whether the domes are simply relics of a failed industrial dream or gateways to darker realms is a question that remains unanswered. What is clear is that their presence commands respect and caution. Those who approach the domes do so at their own risk, stepping into a realm where time, space, and reality blur, and where the echoes of forgotten ambitions collide with forces beyond human comprehension. The story of the domes is a modern legend, a fusion of history, mystery, and the supernatural. It is a place where the past haunts the present, and where the future remains uncertain, shrouded in shadows and symbols that speak to a hidden world. For those who seek the unknown, The domes of Casa Grande offer a haunting invitation to explore the limits of human curiosity and, perhaps, to encounter something that should have remained buried. Nestled in the rugged foothills of the Huachuca Mountains near Sierra Vista, Arizona, Fort Huachuca stands as one of the oldest and most storied military installations in the United States. Established in 1877, this sprawling base has played a pivotal role in American military history, from the Indian Wars and the Spanish-American War to World War II and beyond. Yet beneath its strategic importance and active operations lies a less tangible legacy. The restless spirits of soldiers who once lived, fought, and died on this land. Fort Huachuca is widely regarded as one of the most haunted military sites in America, where the echoes of the past linger in the shadows, and the supernatural seems to weave itself into the fabric of daily life. Walking through the base today, one can feel the weight of history in the very air. The barracks, officers' quarters, and parade grounds have witnessed generations of soldiers come and go. But visitors and personnel alike report phenomena that suggest those who once called Fort Huachuca home have not fully departed. The most common experiences involve phantom footsteps, echoing down empty corridors, boots pounding in cadence, as if a troop inspection is underway, even when the halls are deserted. These footsteps often start softly, growing louder, only to vanish suddenly, leaving behind an eerie silence. Many eyewitnesses describe seeing spectral figures dressed in military uniforms from various eras, but especially those resembling Civil War attire, a curious anomaly, given that the fort was established after the Civil War. Some believe these apparitions are soldiers who fought nearby or ancestors whose spirits have found refuge in the fort's long military history. Witnesses recount fleeting glimpses of ghostly troops marching in formation or standing at attention, their faces obscured by the mist of time. The barracks are a hotspot for paranormal activity. Soldiers stationed at Fort Huachuca have reported doors opening and closing on their own accord, lights flickering without electrical faults, and radios turning on to static or faint voices. Some officers have heard whispering voices when no one else is around, words spoken in hushed tones that carry an urgent or mournful quality. These whispers sometimes come through radios or intercoms, but remain unintelligible, adding to the unsettling atmosphere. One of the most chilling stories comes from an officer who was stationed in one of the older buildings late at night. Alone and finishing paperwork, he suddenly heard the unmistakable sound of a door slam shut behind him. When he turned to investigate, the corridor was empty. Moments later, the lights began to flicker violently, and cold spots formed around him as if invisible soldiers were pacing nearby. The experience left him shaken but also convinced of the fort's spectral inhabitants. There are also tales of ghostly apparitions seen near the parade grounds and training fields. Some report witnessing soldiers from bygone eras practicing drills or reenacting moments from battles long past. These visions sometimes appear at dusk or dawn, moments when the line between day and night blurs, enhancing the otherworldly feeling. Witnesses speak of a profound sense of honor and sadness emanating from these figures, as if the spirits are still bound to their duty. Fort Huachuca's history is rich with accounts of sacrifice, camaraderie, and tragedy, all of which seem to fuel its paranormal reputation. During its early years, the fort was a center for conflicts with Apache tribes, and many soldiers lost their lives in these brutal campaigns. Later, during World War II, it served as a training ground for the famed Buffalo Soldiers of the 92nd and 93rd Infantry Divisions, African American units who faced not only enemy forces but also racial discrimination. Their enduring legacy is said to have left a powerful imprint on the fort's energy. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators have long been drawn to Fort Huachuca. Many have reported capturing unexplained phenomena on camera and audio devices, shadow figures crossing halls, orbs of light floating through rooms, and electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, that seem to respond to questions. Some recordings include faint military commands or distant gunfire, sounds that resonate with the fort's martial past. The fort staff approach these reports with a mix of respect and wariness. Many accept the hauntings as part of the fort's character, a living reminder of the men who served here. Some say that the spirits are protective, watching over the living soldiers and maintaining a presence that symbolizes vigilance and honor. Others warn visitors to tread carefully and respect the history embedded in every brick and beam. Among the many ghost stories is one about a young soldier who supposedly died tragically in the barracks. His apparition is said to appear unexpectedly in hallways, sometimes offering a fleeting nod or salute before disappearing. His presence is felt most strongly during storms, when thunder seems to echo the distant roar of artillery fire. Another tale tells of a spectral bugler, whose mournful call can sometimes be heard across the fort in the early morning hours. The haunting bugle sounds are said to bring a mix of calm and melancholy, as if honoring the fallen while reminding the living of their duty. Despite the eerie occurrences, Fort Huachuca remains a fully operational military base, its history and haunted reputation intertwined. Soldiers continue their training, and the base serves as a vital intelligence center, but the whispers of the past linger in the quiet moments. For those who live and work there, the ghosts of Fort Huachuca are not just frightening apparitions, but reminders of sacrifice, honor, and the enduring spirit of those who served. In many ways, the hauntings of Fort Huachuca connect the present to a long and complex history, one marked by conflict, courage, and resilience. The spirits are said to embody these values, standing as eternal sentinels over a place where duty never ends. Whether skeptic or believer, anyone who spends time on the base cannot deny the powerful presence that fills the halls and grounds. For visitors, a walk through Fort Huachuca is more than a journey into military history. It is an encounter with echoes of the past, boots that never tire, voices that never fade, and a legacy that continues to watch over the land. In the stillness of the night, when the base quiets and shadows lengthen, the ghosts of Fort Huachuca remind us that some soldiers never truly leave the battlefield. They remain, guarding their posts for eternity. Tucked away in the rugged foothills of Oracle, Arizona, the COD Ranch stands as a tranquil haven for modern visitors seeking respite from the rush of daily life. Originally established as a private retreat in the early 20th century, the ranch has evolved into a popular venue for events, workshops, and spiritual gatherings. Surrounded by towering saguaros and sprawling desert vistas, it seems like the perfect place to find peace and connection with nature. Yet beneath its serene exterior lies a mysterious and haunting presence, one that whispers through the desert winds, lingers behind weathered windows, and unsettles those who come too close to the ranch's darker past. The COD Ranch has long been known among locals for strange and unexplained phenomena. Many who have visited or stayed overnight report ghostly apparitions appearing in the windows of the old ranch house and guest cabins. These figures often materialize as fleeting silhouettes or shadowy forms, vanishing when approached or when a light is shone upon them. Visitors describe a palpable sense of being watched, as if unseen eyes follow their every movement across the quiet grounds. One of the most common paranormal experiences involves phantom music's off-piano notes, faint guitar strums, or haunting melodies that drift across the ranch during twilight or late at night. The sounds seem to have no identifiable source. There is no piano, no band, yet the music fills the air, as if the land itself is alive with memories. Guests have reported sitting around campfires, sharing stories, only to be interrupted by distant tunes that stir both nostalgia and unease. Disembodied voices add to the ranch's eerie atmosphere. Several visitors have heard whispers carried on the desert breeze, voices urging them to leave the property. These messages are often urgent and insistent, sometimes taking the form of clear warnings, other times cryptic phrases that leave listeners unsettled. The voices seem protective in nature, as if guarding the ranch and its secrets from those who might disturb its fragile balance. Perhaps the most intriguing and mysterious presence at the COD Ranch is that of a Native American shaman. Multiple witnesses have claimed to see the figure pacing silently beneath the vast desert sky, often near the old stone fire pit or along the rugged trails. Dressed in traditional garb, with feathers and beads that catch the moonlight, the shaman appears contemplative and purposeful, as if engaged in a ritual or guarding the spiritual essence of the land. Some say he is a protector, a spirit guide watching over the ranch and its visitors, while others believe he may be a restless soul bound to unfinished business. The ranch sits on land that holds deep significance to the indigenous peoples of the region. The area was once home to the Apache and other tribes who revered the desert as a sacred place filled with powerful energy. It is said that the COD Ranch occupies grounds where ceremonies and rituals were performed long before settlers arrived. This history adds a layer of spiritual complexity to the haunting stories, suggesting that the paranormal activity may be connected to the lingering presence of Native American spirits or the echoes of ancient rites. Visitors to the Cod Ranch often report a shifting atmosphere, moments of profound peace, abruptly giving way to feelings of unease or tension. Some describe sudden drops in temperature, unexplained chills that run down their spines, or the sensation of an unseen presence standing close by. These experiences seem to intensify after sunset, when the desert's quiet amplifies every sound and shadow. One guest, attending a weekend retreat, recounted a particularly unnerving encounter. As night fell, she was walking alone to the main lodge when she heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps following her. Turning quickly, she saw no one, yet the footsteps continued, echoing against the silent buildings. Suddenly, a voice whispered her name, clear and urgent. Terrified, she hurried inside, only to find the halls empty and the ranch enveloped in stillness. Another story tells of a group gathered around the fire pit during a full moon ceremony. As they shared stories and sang songs, a cold breeze swept through the circle, carrying faint chants and drum beats that seemed to emanate from nowhere. Several participants claimed a glimpse a shadowy figure watching from the edge of the firelight, the Native American shaman before it vanished into the night. Despite the unsettling experiences, the COD Ranch remains a beloved destination for those drawn to its natural beauty and spiritual energy. The ranch's owners and staff acknowledge the paranormal tales, but emphasize the positive intentions behind much of the activity. Many believe that the spirits at the ranch are not malevolent, but rather guardians, maintaining a connection between past and present, and reminding visitors of the land's sacredness. Paranormal investigators have visited the ranch several times, capturing audio recordings of unexplained voices and photographing orbs of light that defy explanation. Thermal cameras reveal sudden cold spots, and electronic devices often malfunction during investigations, suggesting an active and powerful presence. Whether these phenomena stem from human spirits, ancient energies, or a combination of both remains a topic of debate and fascination. The juxtaposition of the ranch's peaceful setting with its haunted reputation creates a unique atmosphere, one that invites both reverence and caution. Visitors are encouraged to approach the Cod Ranch with respect for its history and the spirits that dwell there. Many find that the ranch offers not only a retreat from the modern world, but also a place to connect with something deeper and more mysterious. For those willing to explore the ranch's shadows, the COD offers a haunting and unforgettable experience. The flicker of a ghostly figure in a window, the distant melody of phantom music, or the sight of the shaman beneath the stars, all serve as reminders that the land holds stories far older and more complex than any visitor could imagine. It is a place where the past and present coexist, where spirits walk among the living, and where the desert night carries secrets waiting to be uncovered. In the stillness of the Arizona desert, under a vast expanse of stars, the COD Ranch remains a place of mystery and magic, a sanctuary for the living and the dead alike. Those who come seeking peace may find themselves touched by the echoes of the past, while those who listen closely might hear the whispered voices urging caution, respect, and remembrance. The ranch is a crossroads of history, spirit, and nature, a haunting testament to the enduring connection between land and soul. Nestled on the outskirts of the historic mining town of Bisbee, Arizona, Evergreen Cemetery stands as a silent guardian of countless stories etched into the rugged terrain. Established in 1892, this cemetery is the final resting place for miners, outlaws, pioneers, and settlers who shaped the frontier life of the American Southwest. The weathered headstones and iron fences bear witness not only to the passage of time, but to a rich and turbulent history that continues to echo through the night in whispers and shadows. Evergreen Cemetery is more than just a burial ground. It is a place where the past lingers, where the lives and deaths of those who came before seem to reach out across the veil separating worlds. Locals and visitors alike speak of an atmosphere thick with presence, a sense of being watched by unseen eyes, and unexplained phenomena that defy rational explanation. The cemetery's reputation as a paranormal hotspot has attracted investigators and curious thrill-seekers for decades, each hoping to glimpse the unknown that rests beneath the desert sky. One of the most common experiences reported in Evergreen Cemetery is the appearance of glowing orbs of light. These ethereal orbs float silently among the tombstones, drifting with the desert breeze as if carrying the souls of the departed. Paranormal investigators, equipped with cameras and night vision equipment, often capture these mysterious lights, which seem to flicker with intelligence rather than randomness. Some orbs hover close to the ground, while others glide high above, weaving between the gnarled branches of ancient trees. Visitors also report sudden drops in temperature, known as cold spots, which can occur without any logical cause in the dry Arizona desert. These chilling pockets of air often provoke a shiver or a feeling of discomfort, and are frequently accompanied by an overwhelming sensation of being observed. Many say that walking through certain sections of the cemetery triggers this eerie feeling, as though invisible eyes are following their every step. Among the many spirits said to inhabit Evergreen Cemetery, one figure stands out in local legend: a miner, forever marked by the harshness of his labor. This ghostly miner is described as being covered head to toe in soot and grime, his face streaked with the black dust of the mines. Witnesses have seen him leaning warily against weathered tombstones, resting as if taking a brief reprieve from the toils of the underground world he once knew. Then, as silently as he appeared, he vanishes into the night, leaving only the faint scent of earth and coal behind. This miner's apparition is believed to represent the countless men who risked and lost their lives in the mines that fueled Bisbee-esque growth. Mining was a brutal and dangerous profession, with frequent cave-ins, explosions, and toxic gas explosions. The spirit's presence serves as a poignant reminder of the sacrifices and hardships endured by those who toiled beneath the earth's surface. Some say the miner's ghost lingers to protect his resting place and the memories of his comrades, ensuring that their stories are not forgotten. Evergreen Cemetery is also the burial ground for outlaws and notorious characters who once roamed the Arizona frontier. Their graves are marked by simple stones, often weather-beaten and worn, but their restless spirits are said to haunt the grounds with a fierce energy, as if reliving the wild and lawless days of the Old West. Others report shadowy figures darting between the graves, elusive and fleeting, hinting at the turbulent lives once lived. The cemetery's history as the final resting place for early settlers and pioneers adds another layer of depth to its haunting. These men and women faced extreme hardship, harsh climates, isolation, and the constant threat of violence. Their spirits are believed to carry the weight of endurance and loss, manifesting as subtle but unmistakable signs. A whispered name on the wind, a sudden rustling in the bushes, or the softest footsteps on gravel paths when no one else is near. Paranormal investigators who have spent nights in Evergreen Cemetery report a variety of phenomena. Electronic voice phenomena, EVP recordings, often capture disembodied voices, sometimes faint cries for help, other times greetings or warnings. Investigators have also documented unexplained shadows moving swiftly across camera frames and strange electromagnetic readings that spike without explanation. Many describe a feeling of profound respect and solemnity while working in the cemetery, as though they are in the presence of something both powerful and sorrowful. Locals maintain a cautious respect for Evergreen Cemetery, honoring the resting souls with traditions and rituals meant to show reverence. Some claim that the spirits respond positively to respectful behavior and grow restless, or even hostile if the grounds are disturbed or disrespected. This has fostered a culture of reverence among those who visit, blending folklore, spirituality, and a deep connection to Bisbee's heritage. During certain times of the year, especially near the anniversary of tragic mining accidents or the Day of the Dead celebrations, the paranormal activity is said to intensify. Visitors report more frequent sightings of orbs, more pronounced cold spots, and heightened feelings of presence. It is as if the spirits are more active, their voices louder, and their stories more eager to be heard. These occasions often draw large groups of locals and visitors alike, some coming to pay tribute, others hoping to capture proof of the supernatural. Evergreen Cemetery's haunting serves as a living testament to the complex tapestry of life, death, and memory woven into the fabric of Bisbee. The glowing orbs, chilling cold spots, and ghostly miner are more than just spooky stories. They are manifestations of a collective history that refuses to be forgotten. Through these supernatural echoes, the voices of miners, outlaws, and settlers continue to resonate, reminding us of the fragile boundary between the past and the present. For those who venture into Evergreen Cemetery after dark, the experience is often both chilling and humbling. Beneath the starry Arizona sky, amid rows of weathered stones, the spirits of Bisbee's past seem to stir, reaching out to the living with stories carved in silence and shadows. The miner covered in soot, the flickering orbs, and the unseen watchers all serve as reminders that some histories are never truly buried. They linger in the night, alive in the whispers of the desert wind and the cold touch of the forgotten. In the end, Evergreen Cemetery stands as a place of remembrance and mystery, a sacred space where the brave, the weary, and the restless find their eternal rest. It is a haunting yet beautiful testament to the lives that built a town and to the spirits that still walk among its stones. Those who enter with open hearts and respectful steps may find themselves touched by the echoes of a time long past, perhaps witness a glimpse of the miner leaning silently in the moonlight, guarding the stories that refuse to fade. Stretching across the heart of America, Route 66 has long been celebrated as the iconic Mother Road, a symbol of freedom, adventure, and the open highway. But beneath its nostalgic charm and endless asphalt lies a shadowed history, one filled with tales of mystery, tragedy, and the supernatural. Northern Arizona's portion of Route 66 is especially known for its eerie reputation, where countless travelers have reported encounters with ghostly hitchhikers, phantom vehicles, and inexplicable phenomena that defy explanation. The road here isn't just a path through the desert and forests. It's a corridor where the veil between the living and the dead grows thin. Near Flagstaff, the stretch of Route 66 that cuts through pine forests and rocky outcrops has become infamous for paranormal encounters. Drivers passing through the area tell stories of sudden appearances, figures standing by the roadside, silently beckoning for a ride, only to vanish the moment a vehicle draws near. These spectral hitchhikers often wear clothing from decades past, frozen in time as though caught in an endless journey. Their faces, when glimpsed, are pale and distant, eyes filled with longing or despair. One of the most well-known legends is that of the woman in white. According to numerous accounts, she appears suddenly in the middle of the road, her flowing white gown stark against the dark asphalt and the night's shadows. Drivers often describe her as eerily beautiful, yet unmistakably otherworldly. Some say she stands still, silently waiting, while others report her walking slowly along the shoulder. The chilling twist is that no matter how close a driver gets, the woman vanishes without a trace, leaving only the cold night air and an unsettling silence behind. This woman in white has been the source of many close calls and unexplained accidents on Route 66. Some drivers swerve abruptly to avoid hitting her, only to find that the road is empty moments later. Others have pulled over, hoping to help or speak with her, but she disappears before anyone can reach her. Theories about her identity vary. Some suggest she is the spirit of a woman who died tragically on the road years ago. Others believe she is a restless soul caught between worlds, doomed to wander forever. Beyond ghostly figures, The road itself seems to play tricks on travelers. Many have reported their cars suddenly stalling or experiencing electrical failures without cause, often in the most desolate stretches of the highway. In these moments, radios may crackle with static or faint voices, and GPS systems malfunction, as if time itself is warping along this haunted road. Stranded drivers describe a disorienting sense of being trapped between moments, where minutes feel like hours, and the landscape around them subtly shifts. Some drivers have shared stories of encountering ghostly vehicles from different eras that appear and disappear without explanation. These spectral cars might race alongside at impossible speeds, flicker in and out of existence, or come to a sudden stop before vanishing. In one chilling tale, a motorist reported seeing an old Model T Ford cruising slowly ahead, its headlights glowing dimly. As the driver approached, the car vanished, leaving behind the scent of gasoline and old leather. The lore surrounding northern Arizona's Route 66 is rich with tales of tragedy, loss, and unresolved sorrow, elements that many believe fuel the hauntings. The road has seen its share of fatal accidents, robberies, and heartbreak over the decades. Many spirits are said to be those of travelers who never completed their journey, their stories forever intertwined with the road itself. One story tells of a young couple traveling the road in the 1940s who were killed in a car accident near a curve outside Flagstaff. It's said their spirits linger, appearing as glowing figures, walking hand in hand along the roadside or sitting silently on a nearby bench. Passersby have reported hearing laughter or whispered conversations carried on the wind, faint yet unmistakably human. Local residents have also shared their own encounters, describing moments when they have seen figures crossing the road at night, only to vanish before reaching the other side. Others speak of hearing the unmistakable sound of footsteps or the creak of a door, though no one else is around. These experiences are often accompanied by an inexplicable feeling of being watched, as if the road itself holds countless eyes hidden in the darkness. Paranormal investigators and enthusiasts frequently visit this stretch of Route 66. Drawn by its reputation and the challenge of uncovering its secrets, many come equipped with cameras, voice recorders, and other devices, hoping to capture evidence of the unexplained. Their efforts often yield strange results: unusual temperature drops, unexplained orbs of light in photographs, and electronic voice phenomena, EVP, that seem to respond to questions. Some have recorded soft footsteps on gravel, distant car horns sounding with no source, or fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures darting between trees. The haunting of northern Arizona's Route 66 is not limited to nighttime. Some travelers have reported unsettling experiences during the day, such as sudden chills, the sensation of someone brushing past them, or glimpses of faces in rearview mirrors that vanish when checked. The road seems to carry its spectral passengers at all hours, a reminder that history and mystery coexist on every mile. The legend of the Mother Road's hauntings has become a part of local culture, passed down through generations and shared around campfires and diners. It serves as a cautionary tale for travelers to respect the road and the stories embedded within it. Many who travel Route 66 today do so with a mix of excitement and wariness, aware that the road carries not only vehicles but also echoes from the past. Despite her, perhaps because of its eerie reputation, the road remains a beloved symbol of adventure and the open highway. For some, the supernatural encounters add to the mystique and allure, transforming a simple journey into an unforgettable experience. Whether encountering the woman in white, witnessing phantom vehicles, or simply feeling the intangible presence of those who came before, travelers on northern Arizona's Route 66 are reminded that this historic highway is far more than pavement, and signs it is a living, breathing corridor of memory, mystery, and sometimes the paranormal. In the end, the stories of haunted Route 66 are a testament to the enduring power of place and history. The spirits that haunt this stretch of the Mother Road are not merely ghosts. They are reminders of journeys interrupted, dreams unrealized, and lives forever connected to the road. For those who travel its winding path beneath the endless Arizona sky, Route 66 offers more than a route. It offers a glimpse into the unseen, a whisper of the past, and the thrill of encountering the unknown just beyond the next bend. Nestled at the northern edge of Phoenix lies the Pioneer Living History Museum, a carefully preserved slice of the 1800s. With over 30 historic buildings, cabins, and businesses relocated and rebuilt to reflect Arizona's pioneer past. By day, the museum feels like a charming, educational experience, with actors in period costumes and the rustic charm of an Old West village. But as the sun sets and visitors leave, the real residents of the museum begin to make themselves known. The hauntings at the Pioneer Living History Museum are not confined to one building. Nearly every structure seems to hold echoes of the past, some playful, some sorrowful, and others darker and harder to explain. Employees working after hours have described hearing footsteps on the wooden boardwalks outside, only to find no one there. Doors creak open on windless nights, lights flicker despite modern wiring, and an uneasy chill lingers in spots where no draft should be. One of the most active sites is the schoolhouse, a one-room building, complete with desks, chalkboards, and a teacher's desk positioned at the front. During daylight, it feels like a historical diorama. But after dark, it becomes something else entirely. Several staff members and visitors have reported the unmistakable sound of children laughing, giggling, and whispering, despite the building being locked and empty. On one occasion, a night security guard heard a rhythmic tapping inside the schoolhouse, thinking it might be a rodent or bird. He entered the building only to see a chalkboard eraser floating in the air before it dropped to the floor. No one was inside. Another unsettling incident occurred when a volunteer opened the schoolhouse one morning and found the tiny chairs arranged in a circle around the teacher's desk. An unusual setup not used in the museum. No one had been inside overnight, and the building had been locked and alarmed. That same day, multiple guests reported feeling cold drafts and hearing whispers in their ears as they stood near the desks. The museum's chapel is another hotspot of unexplained activity. A quaint white building with stained glass windows and wooden pews, it seems a peaceful place at first glance. But many have heard soft murmurs echoing inside the chapel, often resembling whispered prayers. Some even claim to have heard full hymns being sung by invisible choirs. One docent recalled staying late to tidy up and hearing an organ playing from inside the chapel. There is no organ in the building. A particularly unnerving encounter took place when a bride and groom rented the museum grounds for a wedding. During the ceremony, the bride felt her veil tugged from behind. Thinking it was her train catching on something, she ignored it. Later, when watching the wedding video, the couple noticed a faint figure in old-fashioned clothing standing behind them near the chapel door. No one remembered seeing anyone there that day, and the figure was gone in the next frame. Many of the ghostly figures seen throughout the museum were clothing from the 19th century. A man in a duster coat and wide-brimmed hat has been seen walking near the bank building before vanishing mid-street. A woman in a high-collared dress has been spotted peering out from one of the cabin windows, though the cabins are closed to the public after hours. Tour guides sometimes joke about the pioneer spirits adding their own touch to the experience, but behind the humor is a lingering sense of unease. One of the stranger occurrences involves the general store. Objects in the store frequently move overnight. Small items like jars, tins, and toy replicas shift positions or fall from shelves without explanation. One employee decided to set up a personal camera to record overnight footage. What the camera captured was subtle but chilling. Shelves trembling slightly, a tin cup sliding slowly across a countertop, and the faint outline of what looked like a hand reaching toward the register before fading away. Visitors, unaware of the museum's haunted reputation, have also reported unusual feelings. Many describe a heavy sensation in the chest or the inexplicable feeling of being watched. One guest claimed that her young child pointed to an empty spot near the sheriff's office and asked, "Why is that man crying?" When asked what man, the child said, "The sad man in the dirty shirt." No one else saw anything. There are those who believe the spirits that linger here are not angry or malevolent, but rather echoes of people who once lived and died in this rugged desert land. After all, The buildings at the museum are not just props. They are authentic relics that once stood in now forgotten towns, bearing the energy and emotions of the people who passed through them. The furniture is original. The walls still hold old nails and carvings, and many items were donated by families who had personal connections to Arizona's pioneer era. Still, some wonder if the act of moving these buildings disturbed something, pulling history from the ground and forcing it to relive itself in a staged setting. Perhaps the ghosts roam the grounds not in anger, but in confusion, wandering through a fabricated version of their past. The Pioneer Living History Museum is, on the surface, a tribute to a bygone era. But for those who listen closely, who visit in the quiet of early morning or the deep silence after dusk, there's more here than just history. There's presence, there's memory. And sometimes, when the wind is still and the night is clear, you can hear the past whispering through the trees. The Gila County Jail in Globe, Arizona, stands as a weathered monument to justice and punishment from another era. Built in 1910, the thick stone walls of this two-story facility once held murderers, thieves, and the mentally unstable. It was designed to be escape-proof, with steel cells, reinforced bars, and guards who were not known for their mercy. But even during its years of operation, whispers of something unnatural began to circulate. Inmates, often hardened and skeptical, told of cold breaths in the dark and voices that came from nowhere. Guards claimed to see shadows shift in cells they swore were empty. After decades of use, the jail was decommissioned and left to the silence of time. But that silence didn't last. Paranormal investigators began visiting the site, drawn by reports of doors slamming on their own and the heavy clang of chains dragging across the stone floor. Even when no one else was present, visitors often reported a sense of unease, as if they were being watched, closely judged, even by something unseen. One of the most unnerving legends tied to the jail is the spirit of a former sheriff named Walter Raleigh. In life, he was a tough lawman, known for his relentless pursuit of justice. In 1922, Sheriff Raleigh was ambushed just outside the jail, gunned down in what was believed to be a revenge killing by a fugitive's brothers. He died on the steps, blood soaking into the stone, his revolver still drawn but unused. Some say he never left. Today, those who visit the jail after dark often report hearing heavy bootsteps pacing back and forth in the upper hall. These footsteps come slow and steady, as if a patrol is being made. Visitors have heard the distinctive jingle of spurs, and even felt a cold presence brush past them, as though someone in uniform just marched by. Some believe this is the ghost of Sheriff Raleigh, still guarding his post, unwilling to abandon his duty even in death. There's also the tale of Cell Block D. Long before the jail closed, this particular section gained notoriety among inmates. It was colder than the rest, and the lights often flickered or went out entirely. Prisoners reported hearing whispers in the dead of night, whispers that came from the walls themselves. One inmate claimed that a man in black stood silently at the foot of his bed each night. When guards investigated, they found no one. The inmate hanged himself just days later, scrawling the words, "He watches in the dark," onto the wall with a piece of broken mirror. Today, paranormal groups say Cell Block D remains the most active location in the jail. EMF detectors spike wildly, and temperatures plunge without explanation. One woman who stayed overnight for a ghost tour ran screaming from the block after hearing a raspy voice whisper her name twice. Even the solitary confinement cell, deep in the jail's basement, has its own horror. Known as the Hole, this pitch-black chamber was used to punish the worst offenders. No light, no sound, no comfort, just stone and steel. Visitors who step inside report nausea, dizziness, and even shortness of breath. One man fainted after claiming he felt someone's hands wrap around his throat. Photographs taken later showed red marks on his neck, though he had been alone the entire time. Perhaps the most disturbing phenomenon is the recurring apparition of a man covered in burns. He's been seen through the barred window of the second-floor cell, staring silently into the courtyard below. Local lore tells of an arsonist who set fire to a boarding house, killing 7 people. he was caught and locked in that very cell. Yet the window where his spirit is seen is always sealed, the room untouched since the fire. Staff working in nearby buildings often report hearing distant screams echoing through the night, and security cameras sometimes pick up motion inside the jail long after everyone has gone home. These anomalous slamming doors, disembodied voices, shadowy figures persist, defying explanation. Locals speak of the jail in hushed tones, warning curious thrill-seekers to respect the space. "That jail, don't forget," one elderly resident said. "You walk in with bad intentions, you might not walk out the same." Over the years, brave souls have hosted seances inside the jail, attempting to communicate with the dead. Some succeeded too well. One group claimed to make contact with a spirit calling himself Jeb, who said he was hanged for killing a lawman. Shortly after the session, each participant reported nightmares of nooses and black eyes staring at them from the darkness. One woman abandoned the paranormal field entirely after that night, saying something had followed her home. The Gila County Jail remains one of Arizona's most haunted landmarks. Its decaying cells, echoing corridors, and long-forgotten horrors offer more than a glimpse into the past. They provide a stage for restless spirits to relive their final moments. Those who dare to enter often come out changed, haunted not just by what they've seen, but by the lingering sense that someone or something followed them back into the light. Perched majestically on the south rim of the Grand Canyon, the El Tovar Hotel has welcomed visitors since 1905, with its rustic charm, rich wood interiors, and a view like no other. It has become a symbol of timeless grandeur in the Arizona wilderness. But beyond its historic elegance lies a deeper, more unsettling layer and echo of lives long past and spirits that never checked out. The hotel was part of the Harvey House chain, founded by Fred Harvey, a man who revolutionized hospitality across the American West. While Fred Harvey himself never managed the El Tovar directly, his spirit is said to linger within its walls. Some claim that a gentleman in turn-of-the-century attire, complete with a black vest, starched collar, and pocket watch, has been seen roaming the corridors, pausing by windows, or standing silently at the end of beds in the dead of night. Employees who work the late shift speak of catching glimpses of this spectral figure in reflections, only to turn around and find no one there. It's not just the hotel that seems touched by the paranormal. The Grand Canyon itself, with its layers of ancient rock and long-forgotten civilizations, pulses with a strange, unseen energy. Native tribes have long considered the canyon sacred, believing it to be a place where the spirit world touches the living. That belief seems to bleed into the very air at El Tovar, especially once the sun slips behind the cliffs and the world is cloaked in shadow. Visitors have reported waking in the middle of the night to the sound of chanting deep, rhythmic voices rising from the abyss below. These sounds have no source. They don't carry the echo of hikers or tourists. Instead, they seem to come from the very walls of the canyon, reverberating like an ancient ritual, repeating itself through time. Guests who hear it describe an overwhelming sense of dread mixed with awe, as if they are intruding on something sacred and timeless. One chilling encounter came from a couple who stayed in one of the upper rooms overlooking the rim. Just after midnight, they awoke to see a man standing at the window, looking out into the canyon. His hands were clasped behind his back, his silhouette solid against the moonlit backdrop. Thinking he was an intruder, the husband turned on the lamp, but as the light filled the room, the figure vanished, leaving only the faint scent of tobacco in the air. Others have reported hearing footsteps pacing the hallways when no one else is present. Doors open and close, with no breeze to blame. Items left on nightstands have been moved or disappeared entirely, only to be found hours later in other rooms. There's a particular suite on the second floor that many staff members avoid cleaning alone. One housekeeper, who had worked there for over 10 years, quit after she entered the room and heard a voice whisper her name directly in her ear. No one else was in the room. One of the eeriest tales involves a child's laughter. Several guests, across different stays and rooms, have reported hearing a little girl giggling in the hallway late at night. Some have even followed the sound, thinking it might be a lost child only for the laughter to fade into silence near the stairs. No reports of missing children have ever been filed during these incidents, and surveillance never captures anyone in the hallways. Perhaps most unnerving are the cries. Deep, echoing wails that rise from the canyon itself, especially on windless nights when sound carries with eerie clarity. These cries are said to resemble voices in mourning or despair, sometimes even accompanied by what sounds like ghostly drums or distant thunder. One hiker who stayed at the hotel described hearing these cries during a pre-dawn walk as he leaned over the railing to listen more closely. The staff at El Tovar have largely embraced the hotel's haunted reputation. Some joke about Fred Harvey's ghost making surprise inspections. Others are more respectful, quietly acknowledging the strange happenings without feeding into the drama. But ask anyone who's worked there long enough, and you'll get the same answer. There's something unexplainable in those walls. Something watching. Even seasoned paranormal investigators tread carefully at the El Tovar. Some have attempted EVP sessions in the early hours of the morning and recorded unexplained voices. One even captured a clear "get out" in a whispery rasp. Others brought infrared cameras to track movement, only to have their devices malfunction inexplicably. Batteries drain faster at the hotel than they should, and electronic equipment often behaves erratically, as if disturbed by an unseen force. And yet, despite or perhaps because of these occurrences, the El Tovar remains one of the most sought-after stays in the Southwest. There's a magnetism to it, a blend of natural wonder and supernatural mystery that draws the curious, the brave, and the haunted alike. In the end, the El Tovar Hotel is more than a place to rest one's head. It's a portal to the past, where echoes of history walk alongside the living, and where the Grand Canyon's ancient, enigmatic energy pulses through every stone and timber. Those who visit may find more than just breathtaking views. They may encounter something eternal, waiting silently just beyond the veil. The Hermosa in Paradise Valley stands as a picturesque retreat nestled at the base of Camelback Mountain. Originally built in the 1930s by famed cowboy artist Lon Megaji, the adobe-style hacienda was never meant to be a hotel. It began as Lon's private home and studio, his personal sanctuary of art, desert peace, and wild inspiration. But over the decades, the structure took on a life of its own, evolving into a beloved boutique, and that now hides a deeper mystery beneath its rustic charm. Lon Megaji was not only a painter, but a larger-than-life figure, a gambler, womanizer, and cowboy poet whose legend was almost as colorful as his canvases. He designed the estate himself, molding it with his own hands, adorning the rooms with vibrant Western paintings, and filling it with desert spirit. He lived there passionately until the time came to move on. Yet it seems his presence never fully left. Guests and staff have long reported strange happenings throughout the inn, particularly around the original fireplace where Lon used to sit with a cigar, gazing into the flames as he dreamed up his next work. On cold desert nights, visitors have seen the faint outline of a man sitting alone by the fire, cowboy hat tipped low, boots stretched out, utterly still. But when they glance again, he's gone to vanished, as if swallowed by the very stone that surrounds the hearth. There are cold spots near the original adobe walls, places where the temperature drops sharply for no reason. Some claim the smell of cigar smoke fills the air, even though smoking has long been banned inside. Others swear they've heard the deep, gravelly voice of a man muttering softly hints of poetry, unfinished stories, or perhaps conversations with spirits from the past. In the art gallery section of the inn, guests have noticed that the paintings seem to move subtly on their own, not just the usual shifting on old nails, but full tilts, slants, and sometimes crashes. One guest, who stayed in a room near the gallery, was awakened in the night by a loud thud. She investigated to find a painting portrait of a cowboy riding through a dust storm, lying face down on the floor. No breeze, no trimmer, just Lon's art making its presence known. Staff often joke that Lon doesn't like certain modern decorations, especially those that don't match his original vision. One former manager reported that every time they tried to hang a particular mirror near the fireplace, it would fall no matter how securely it was mounted. Eventually, they gave up, and the wall has remained bare ever since. In the guest rooms, doors sometimes open slowly on their own, accompanied by the faint creak of aged hinges even when locked. Footsteps are heard at night, pacing the tile halls. Guests open their doors to investigate and find nothing but still desert air. Some even report seeing the silhouette of a cowboy passing through the courtyard, only for the figure to disappear before reaching the far arch. But perhaps the most unsettling experiences come in room 101, believed to be Lon's own bedroom. Guests who stay there have described vivid dreams of riding horseback through canyons, painting endless desert skies, and walking hand in hand with a woman they daren't recognizably, to wake and find the room colder than ice. One couple even reported seeing the ghostly image of a cowboy's hat resting on a chair in the room, vanishing the moment they blinked. Despite these eerie encounters, there is no malevolence at the Hermosa in Lon's spirit. It seems is not a restless or vengeful one. Instead, it is protective, nostalgic, and deeply tied to the land he loved. He built this place with his soul, and if he still wanders its halls, it is not to scare but to stay connected to a life that never really ended. Visitors come for the history and luxury, but many leave with an unexpected story, a brush with the past, a shadow of a cowboy artist who refuses to fade. The desert holds memory like rock holds heat, and at the Hermosa Inn, that memory has shape, sound, and presence. In the stillness of the Arizona night, beneath stars brighter than memory itself, the Hermosa Inn breathes with Lon Megerji's legacy. A legacy that echoes in creaking doors, shifting paintings, and the scent of phantom cigar smoke. Guests may check out, but the cowboy with a painter's soul, he's still right there, watching the flames, forever part of the inn he made immortal. Casey Moore's Oyster House, nestled in the heart of Tempe, Arizona, is known today as a vibrant restaurant and pub, bustling with college students, families, and locals who come for the seafood and the atmosphere. But beneath the laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the hum of conversation, the building holds a darker, quieter energy, a past that lingers, whispering through the wooden floorboards and flickering in the corners of dimly lit rooms. Long before it became one of Tempe's most popular hangouts, the structure that now houses Casey Moore's was a private home. Built in the early 1900s, it belonged to a prominent family whose secrets were buried as deeply as the foundation beneath them. The home changed hands many times, and while some owners moved out citing bad feelings or strange occurrences, no one ever stayed long enough to leave a lasting legacy, except for one couple. Local lore speaks of a young couple who moved into the home in the mid-20th century. Their names have been lost to time, but their story survives in fragments. Passed down by neighbors and eventually shared among restaurant staff, they were reportedly deeply in love, but the romance turned tragic. One night, following an explosive argument, the couple was found dead in what police would only describe as suspicious circumstances. The details were never made public. No charges were filed. The case quietly faded from public memory. But their presence, according to many who worked or dined at Casey Moore, says far from gone. After the home was converted into a restaurant in the 1980s, the hauntings began in earnest. Staff began to notice glasses sliding across the bar when no one was near them. Bottles would fall from secure shelves without any visible disturbance. At first, these incidents were blamed on faulty shelves or the vibrations of music and movement. But the explanations stopped making sense when staff and patrons started hearing voices. Late at night, after closing, workers would hear murmuring from the dining room's soft, unintelligible conversations, like a couple whispering in the dark. When they'd go to investigate, the room would be empty. Some employees reported hearing laughter, always from the far end of the house, near the old staircase. One bartender swore he heard a woman sobbing softly near the fireplace, though the building was otherwise empty. Lights flicker at odd intervals, especially in the upstairs rooms, where few patrons are allowed and where the couple reportedly spent most of their time. Electricians have inspected the wiring, but they've never found a cause. Paranormal investigators have visited Casey Moore's several times, and though no solid evidence has ever been captured, the feeling of unease is often enough to leave even seasoned ghost hunters rattled. One of the most unsettling and consistent experiences reported by visitors is the sensation of being touched. Many patrons have reported feeling a tap on the shoulder or a brush against their back, only to turn and find no one standing behind them. Some say it feels like a hand resting briefly on their arm, warm but invisible. A waitress once dropped a full tray of drinks after feeling someone grab her wrist in an empty hallway. She quit a week later, unable to shake the feeling that she was being watched during every shift. Then there's the painting. Hung near the entrance to the upstairs room is a portrait of a woman, painted in muted colors. The story goes that the woman in the portrait resembles one of the original owners, the mysterious woman who died alongside her lover. The painting sometimes tilts on its own, despite being secured tightly. Staff have straightened it countless times, only to find it leaning again the next morning. Despite, or perhaps because of the ghostly activity, Casey Moore's has never suffered in popularity. If anything, the whispers of hauntings have brought in curious thrill-seekers, eager for dinner with the sight of the supernatural. Most nights, the spirits remain silent observers, content to drift through the memories of their former home. But every so often, they make their presence known with a clink of a glass, a cold draft down the spine, or a quiet voice calling from just around the corner. Casey Moore's Oyster House remains a place where the past is never quite gone, where the dead haven't fully left, and where the veil between the living and the departed seems just a little thinner than anywhere else in Tempe. Thank you for traveling through the spectral sands and haunted canyons of Arizona with us. Each place we've visited tonight tells a story not just of history, but of the souls who refuse to be forgotten. If you ever find yourself under the desert stars and feel a chill, remember, the spirits of Arizona are never too far away. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and keep your lights on. The darkness is always watching. Subscribe, like, and share if you dare. Good night, ... And don't look behind you.